The ability for humans to manipulate / control the weather has been a thing that we've been attempting to do or have been doing for quite some time, whether if it's from the ancient tribal cultures doing things such as rain dancing, or modern ways such as, military projects and or modern farming. Now, many think that we can't manipulate the weather by any means at all, but in fact, we've actually been able to do so since 1915/1916 from all the research that I've been doing. In fact, we've done it so well at one point in time that one man actually made it flood due to how much he caused it to rain. Then there's this whole process called cloud seeding, where countries around the world, including ones like China, will sit there and, manipulate the weather using chemicals such as silver iodide. While we've been told so much over the years that we don't have these capabilities to manipulate weather, yet we have NASA having the ability to, make it snow and or hail in certain projects they've done. Not to mention the fact of the matter, the U.S. Air Force injecting things like phosphorus in the air to change and alter the weather too. All right, so the more modern attempts at this whole weather manipulation thing technically actually goes back to 1904.
Now, rainmakers were basically travelling showmen who would try and modify the weather using a series of chemicals, among other things. Although most rainmakers were not much better at making it rain than the ancient ritualists, there was one man who seemed to have a high success rate, and his name was Charles Hatfield. Charles became famous in 1904 when he caused it to rain over Los Angeles using a series of towers spraying chemicals into the sky. When he was asked about how he did it, Charles reportedly said, quote, "I do not make it rain. That would be an absurd claim. I simply attract clouds, and they do the rest." This is why the city of San Diego contacted Charles at the end of 1915 in the middle of a massive drought. Charles agreed to their request to make it rain and even said the city only had to pay him if he succeeded, a deal too good for San Diego's officials to pass up. Charles's confidence didn't disappoint because in January 1916 he made it rain so much that many parts of San Diego experienced floods, something he achieved by reportedly burning chemicals in a forest outside of the city. 1916 would go on to be the wettest year in the region's history.
Well, I bet you can imagine that we've progressed a decent amount at least since then, right? We actually have, and here's, what we've been shown at least on that progress.
Cloud seeding is the most common type of weather modification, and it has many different techniques and applications. Today, it's mostly used to increase rain and snowfall, reduce the size of hail, and reduce fog at airports.
So why on earth do we need to increase snowfall, given the fact of the matter that we already have enough issues around the world during wintertime? If you know, let us know in the comments section down below. Now, imagine how governments or corrupt regimes in places of power could, create big storms with tech like this, or amplify big storms that are already happening, that way they can drive villagers / people out of their homes so they can strip the land of its resources like gold, silver, coal, oil, etc. And or, just because it's a prime spot for a big old business they want to build. The U.S. specifically has staged events such as the Vietnam War simply to, acquire more land for strategic purposes and military purpose, you feel me? Not because of preserving patriotism or stopping the spread of communism. They did that with the whole boat bombing of one of their ships, so that way, people would support going to war with Vietnam. Now, the system and the military-industrial complex have done many shitty things over the years and the past several decades, honestly, just to siphon resources from a specific area in very damaging ways. Just ask the Native Americans. Now, that's something an average person, after seeing could ponder and start worrying about. Oh my God, if they're showing the public that, what they're hiding behind closed doors is probably much worse. Oh God. And that's not hard really to, imagine crossing somebody's mind, especially if, you think about the facts of the matter that the U.S. made operational stealth bombers. Those were made over 40 years prior to when the public actually found out about them. I feel like it's a little hard for a lot of people to, not think like that after, all the stuff that's gone on and when you learn about it. Not to mention, it's just like Dr. Stephen Greer said in one of his interviews with Redacted News. Basically, anything that you can imagine the surveillance state or the military-industrial complex having in their black budget programs, 10 times it or 100 times it, that's actually what they have in those programs. And he's an expert in that too.
Explained how storms are driven by winds, vertical convection, and condensation. Scientists from all over began theorizing ways of controlling these factors to manipulate the weather. And by 1946, General Electric began using dry ice to seed clouds and create snow. The first scientifically controlled experiment of successful weather modification occurred in 1948, when Dr. Irving Langmuir was able to produce rain by artificially seeding clouds. During the Vietnam War, the U.S. Army used cloud seeding to extend the monsoon season in specific areas. This controversial use of weather modification as a weapon of war was classified, and when it was later revealed to the public, people were understandably concerned. In 1977, the Convention on the Prohibition of Hostile Use of Environmental Modification Techniques was signed in Geneva, with the hopes of preventing any nation from using weather modification as a means of.
So do you think that a pretty greedy, corrupt system of government wouldn't do that to its own people like they did to Vietnam, just so they can, obtain some more resources or, land, especially after seeing that?
In 2010, Abu Dhabi was able to produce dozens of storms, creating rain, hail, wind gales, and lightning. As technology and weather modification advanced, it was not openly discussed in the public forum, and after decades of successful operations, was considered a conspiracy theory in pop culture. In 2008, articles were published on how scientists were learning how to steer hurricanes by injecting heat into the upper atmosphere. The High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, otherwise known as HAARP, jointly funded by the U.S. military and DARPA.
Wait, hold up. Why did this need to be funded by the military and DARPA? Their only interests generally are related to wars and defense. Don't you guys find that a little precarious?
Is used to excite a limited area of the ionosphere using microwaves that produce high levels of heat. On October 27, 2012, Hurricane Sandy weakened to a tropical storm. Microwave imagery shows a thick red beam was then directed at Hurricane Sandy. Immediately following the red beam, Sandy is strengthened to a Category 1 hurricane and takes the mysterious left turn into New Jersey.
That's pretty interesting. So they use a directed energy beam to try to steer a hurricane. Hang on a second. That's that thing that the conspiracy theorists were saying started the fires in Maui. That means that it is actually possible. Wow.
In December of 2020, it is announced that China will be expanding its weather modification program, saying it will be able to cover half the country in artificial rain and snow in just 4 years from now. In a time-lapse video, this winter's polar vortex behaved as expected for nearly 2 months. Then, on January 20th, the same day as Joe Biden's inauguration, a swirling black hole can be seen punching through the storm above China, upsetting the polar vortex, and ultimately pushing it down to Texas. The power was shut off, dozens were killed in their own beds, and the government blamed fossil fuel technologies. Now Bill Gates is warning that climate change, along with biotech, are the next big threats. If they can convince you that weather control is a fantasy of conspiracy theorists, and if they can make it snow where and when they want, then it's checkmate for the globalists. Now we can see why they have made the global warming hoax their biggest agenda.
A chemical trail leaves a plume that stays in the sky for many hours, and chemtrails are rarely seen alone. What we most commonly see are X patterns, parallel rows, tic-tac-toe like grids in the sky, and of course airliners do not fly those kind of traffic patterns, particularly over rural areas where they're rarely seen. So chemical trails last a long time, and another giveaway is that if the sun is behind them, we often see a prismatic or rainbow effect in the sky through those chemical trails, indicating, scientists have told me, indicating the presence of chemicals in the air.
Now that's just in 5 years with a very corrupt government. You think that they wouldn't do some shit like that, just for money and resources, or even to control people like they already have with other things? This stuff's all artificial too, and generally that stuff happens to come with a buttload of negative/harmful effects on the human health. Just look at things such as Splenda or, other artificial ingredients. They happen to lead to things like cancer, blood clotting, diabetes, depression, suicidal thoughts, death even in some instances, you feel me? More extreme cases. But nonetheless, though, it's really not good things that generally come from artificially produced ingredients or things in general, unless it's, material like the PC I have next to me. And even then, like our cell phones, they sit here, make this stuff, but they spy on us through it half the time with the mics built into them, and these big companies and all that as well too. So why should we trust them exactly? Now, I do personally believe that climate change is a thing, at least to some degree. And that's due to the fact of the matter, the bullshit that these greedy, shitty companies do to our planet and that the governments of the world allow them to do. However, I do think that for quite a while now, or a couple of years at least, that they've been doing all this stuff, and manipulating weather to a degree to serve an agenda, which would ultimately be to convince even more people, of these things. So that way they're going to give these proven greedy and corrupt businesses, corporations, unelected officials like the WHO and, government officials even more money, power, and control over we the people and just in general as a whole. That's enough about what I think. What do you guys think? My adoring tribe members, new viewers, fans, etc. How can we really trust, an agenda like this or the stories they tell us when there's evidence like this out there, or all the other shitty things that they've done, and lied to us about? Let us know in the comments section down below what you guys think. I'd love to hear what your guys' thoughts and opinions are on this. Now, if you guys made it to this point in the video, go ahead and leave the word weather in the comments section down below to let me know that you made it to the end and that you guys are part of the 100% club. Also, as usual, if you guys did enjoy, please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Really does mean a lot to me whenever you guys do this, and it also helps to, show me what you guys are enjoying that I'm putting out there for you. Not to mention get us farther up in the YouTube algorithm to let other people know it's okay to question these systems we live in and the things that they're telling us. That's perfectly fine and normal for a human being to do, And they get this content completely 1,000,000% real, raw, and uncensored, because that's how information should be, you feel me? And that's how news really should be, or important information. Also, if you guys would like a more interactive experience with us, please join us live every Wednesday and Friday from 8:30 to 10:30 p.m. Central Time, where we happen to play games such as Pokemon Unite or Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom over on Twitch or here on CensorTube. And, just come vibe out with us, have a good time. We talk about conspiracies like this with, the factual bases and survival stuff as well too. Share some dark humor memes. And you guys get to see me occasionally rage out on teammates for being stupid or just, questioning how my teammates even got as far as they did in ranked. Or just Legend of Zelda logic. It's like, how the fuck am I doing this? This makes no sense. Why is this not working when I'm tired of shit? But either way though, my dudes, hope you have a good rest of your day. And until next time, please don't forget to live long and prosper. Take care and peace. Keep it 1,000,000% real. And as always, fuck the system. I'll see you guys on the flip side. Yee!